This is Chuck Huber, the voice of Android 17. You're listening to Anime Seekers. You better be, or I'm coming for you. Dragon of the Darkness, Flame!
Toku Secrets is a podcast run by the Anime Secrets website. Check us out at animesecrets.org for more anime, video game, tokusatsu content. Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts today.
Oh yes, this is Goldar, and you're listening to Toku Secrets Podcast. Don't tune us out, tune us in.
Welcome to Toku Secrets. Join us as we journey into the marvelous world of Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Power Rangers, and many other Tokusatsu. Get ready for the adventure of a lifetime. It's Morphin' Time! Link to the Morphin'. I'm Nathan Desai, the dazzling adventurer, Smoking Silver.
I'm Patrick Allen, I'm Shinken Red.
And I'm Ridwan Merkin. Go Kyle Red.
And I'm Anthony Davis, also known as Huey Green. And we're Toku Secrets.
What's going on, everyone? This is the Toku Secrets Podcast, presented by animesecrets.org, and today the whole crew is back on again as we are going to be wrapping up our review of Seijuu Sentai Gingaman. We are going to be reviewing all 3 episodes of the Endgame arc, and then give our final thoughts on the series as a whole. It's definitely been a very fun journey. We've all enjoyed Gingaman, for the most part. Kind of a spoiler for what's going to be at the end of his podcast. But yeah, I mean, all seasons have to come to an end, but the Endgame arcs are often sometimes the best, with a few exceptions here and there. So with that said, we have got a lot to talk about, because even though we have 3 episodes, we're also, talking about the series as a whole. So definitely got a lot to jump into. So as per usual, we're going to start with a recap of last time, where we reviewed chapters 39 through 47. And a lot happened in that batch, even though it was only 9 episodes. So the big thing that happened was that the Balban were able to revive Titanics. They used energy absorbed from a meteor passing by Earth. And the Gingaman actually defeated Titanics pretty easily with the help of Hyuga and Bucrates. Ryoma was almost killed, but he ultimately survived. But unfortunately, their victory was short-lived, because Titanics' body split into fragments, and they scattered and sank into the ground, and they gave birth to a new monster, the Earth Demon Beast. And the Balban set their sights on trying to enlarge the Earth Demon Beast to make it pretty much the new Titanics. And in the last episode that we reviewed, there was an attempt to summon the Earth Demon Beast, and that resulted in Biznella taking a mutated form, and among other things, being killed by Gingayo and the Star Beast. So Biznella has been defeated. So that jumps us in right into the beginning of the Endgame arc with chapter 48, Moke's End, where it's revealed at the beginning of this episode that the Earth Demon Beast is causing pollution from beneath the Earth, and this is causing the Earth itself to become weakened heavily. And Moke is also very affected by it. And keep in mind, he's already weakened from upgrading the Gingaman's Beast Strikers in the previous episode. So, and to make matters worse, it's having an effect on the Gingaman themselves, because when Badobas releases another monster, their Earth power is affected, so they can't transform. And so while the Gingaman are trying to struggle against fighting off Badobas' latest monster, the Balban discovers where Bucrates and Hyuga are located, and they attack the cave, and they trap Bucrates inside. Hyuga escapes, and he gets attacked by Badobas, and he tries to find Bucrates because there's something that he needs to know from him. And Bucrates is also attacked and stabbed by Shalinda. And the climax of this episode is that in desperation, since the Gingaman can't transform, Moke absorbs the Earth Demon Beast's corruption, and it brings an end to all the pollution, and it allows the Gingaman to transform and fight off the monster. But unfortunately, it takes a massive toll on Moke, and Moke dies. His body vanishes in sparkles of light. But of course, he gives reassurance to the Gingaman that they will win, and he tells them he loves them, and his body reverts back to his seed. So that wraps up the first episode of this in-game arc. And I just spoke for almost 4 minutes right there. So what does everybody want to say that they think about this episode?
One of the things that we haven't really talked about is Moke has kind of had a mini character arc in this season where he kind of feels guilty for not being able to actually go out and help the Gingaman, so he kind of overexerts himself at some points in times, like the beast rods. He put a lot of strain on himself when he made those, and when he made the enhanced beast rods, he put a lot of strain on himself. So him just kind of saying that that's just what he wants to do. He wants to help the most he can, regardless of if it kills him or not. And I don't know. I like that they gave a stationary like mentor side character a moment like this. It was really nice.
Yeah, he was a pretty good mentor overall.
Oh
I would
yeah.
honestly he's a lot like he kind of reminds me a lot of Zordon, except I would say that he's even better than Zordon since he's
Oh, no,
actually
he's definitely better than Zordon.
yeah, he's taken action to actually help the Rangers here and there, while Zordon would I mean, Zordon wasn't a really bad mentor, but let's be honest, half the
Zordon was a
time.
decent mentor. I mean, the the only real difference, in my opinion, with Zordon and Moke is that Moke will sacrifice his power to, help the Gigaman build the new blasters or to literally give his life. Zordon gives his life when Andros kills him, but that takes 5 seasons to do, six
Yeah.
seasons to do. Yeah, so it's a little bit longer to get there, but also I think they're extremely comparable because Zordon has also on many occasions given his power to recharge Tommy or to do other power replenishments when things are going bad for Mighty Morphin Team. So I wouldn't say that one is necessarily better than the other because they both have done really big things for their respective teams. I think Moke stands out a little bit more because of the way he killed himself to save everyone versus Zordon. But I think both have a very big grandiose effect on how they do it, and they leave behind a very big impact. Also, spoilers, Zordon doesn't come back.
Yeah.
Moke has a seed left. There's some hope,
Yeah, I might feel half tempted to say maybe it's just because the last couple of Sentai I've watched haven't really had a mentor character. The Showa era mentors, none of them are really stand out. And as far as these newer Sentai that we've watched, I mean, the mentors are okay. Like G was cool in Shinkenger, Master Shafu, but
Master Safu was not that great. Z was okay.
Moke is starting to. Moke might actually be my number one Sentai mentor, in all honesty.
Of the things we reviewed on Toku Secrets, I'd agree with you. Because the Zetman mentor was kind of eh. Zero Ranger's mentor was terrible, in my opinion.
Barza? Yeah, Barza didn't do anything. He just sat down and read books for 50 episodes.
Right, so he didn't do anything. Geki Ranger's mentor was absolute garbage because the entire season is garbage. Obligatory Geki Ranger insult done.
Time Ranger didn't have a mentor.
Time Ranger didn't have a mentor. They needed one though, but they didn't have one.
What was his name in Car Ranger? I thought he was good. He had a counterpart in the Turbo movie.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. The guy who they made into Larigo. I can't remember his name. He was a fun character.
Dapu, thank you. Yeah, Dapu. I thought he was a pretty good character for the mentor role, given the goofiness of Car Ranger.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was a fun
Also,
character.
there is no real mentor in Go-Onzer that I've seen so far.
No, Bomper is just. I mean, Bomper is like Taku, like just an
Yeah.
assistant type of character.
Bomper's kind of like the alpha of the season to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So-
I love him for it.
He's awesome. He's not a bad character.
Yeah,
Just,
Bomper is lovable.
he's not a mentor, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah.
Gokai didn't have a mentor. They had Navi, and Navi was mostly useless.
Marvelous was the mentor.
I don't agree with that, but okay.
O-Ranger's mentor sucked. He was just Jetman's, but worse.
Kyoryuger's mentor was
Yeah, pretty
okay. I mean, he wasn't anything special in my opinion. He was just kind of
What,
there,
Torin?
Yeah. I mean, Torin's a great character, but he
though.
wasn't really mentor-ish as much, you know? He snapped his fingers a lot.
I mean, it's better than cheaper.
Okay. Low
Better than
bar.
cheaper, at least.
Low bar. Low
Honestly,
bar.
There, I said it. Yeah, I said it.
Honestly, out of
Yeah, I
every
said it.
mentor character I've seen between both Power Rangers and Sentais, it comes down to Kruger or RJ, and I don't know which one I prefer.
I prefer.
Depends on my
RJ.
mood. Depends on the mood for me, because Kruger... So if I'm kind of craving like the more serious, badass type of like Ranger series, Kruger wins that. But
Yeah.
if we're talking like just mystical type, whimsical type of guy, RJ's your guy. So it really depends on the mood of the season.
Yeah.
I think there's something to said for both of them in different scenarios. Like, for example, I don't think Kruger would have worked in the season like Jungle Fury.
No.
And
I want to see that now.
No.
And I think RJ could have been decent with SPD, but it would have been very different.
Yeah, that's putting it lightly.
I guess another good Sentai mentor, and I mean Anthony is the only one who can back me up on this one. Is I mean his character was kind of a mentor in Mystic Force, but it was really redundant because they already had Udana. But Maji Shine, who was the only mentor in Maji Ranger, Maji Shine was a pretty good mentor.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll have to. Yeah, but we'll have to get.
I definitely agree with that.
Perspective when we do Maji Ranger eventually. But
Yeah.
But enough about mentor talk. Like, what do we want to give 48 out of 10, guys?
9.
9.
Yeah, it's a 9 for me too. Because Moke's death is like, yeah, Moke's
9 as
death
well.
for me is. I mean, that was honestly a bit more emotional. Well, maybe not more emotional, but just as emotional as Zordon's death, which is like one of the most emotional moments in all of Power Rangers. So
Yeah, really.
But anyway, let's move on to the middle of the in-game arc, the Miraculous Mountain, Chapter 49, which pretty much begins the big final battle with the Balban. So the Gingaman, they discover a way to lure out the Earth Demon Beast using the Roaring Mountain. That's the place in the first episode where they obtained their Ginga braces. And Boss gets desperate to unleash the Earth Demon Beast himself, so he attacks the city and tries to like pound the ground until the monster comes out. So Ryoma goes to the Roaring Mountain to activate this mechanism that'll unleash like a big roar that'll lure it out. While the other Gingaman, they go to fight Boss. They bid farewell to everybody. They say goodbye to Haruhiko, Yuta, and Goki also gets to say goodbye to Suzuko, which, by the way, thank you for the kudos to the writers for letting her have a brief moment before this final battle. Really enjoyed that. It's brief, but it's still appropriate. Hyuga stops Shalinda from killing Bucrates and takes him to safety, and Bucrates reveals to Hyuga that the key to defeating Zahab is to shatter a jewel in his chest created from Bucrates' homeworld. He draws infinite energy to stay alive from a horrible wound that he got 3,000 years ago. And Bucrates gives Gotoris back to Hyuga. And then as Shalinda closes in on them, Bucrates kills himself with a bomb. So, yeah, Hyuga is now freed from Bukrati's control. Ryuma arrives at the Roaring Mountain, and he activates the mechanism, and he lures the Earth Demon Beast there. Bado Boss gives chase. Ryuma is reunited with Hyuga, who saves him from being blown out of a mountain. And now all 6 Gingaman are together. They transform. They get into an all-out fight with Bado Boss and the Yartots. Shalinda shows up, and she gets defeated in a one-on-one battle with Hayate. Although before she dies, she strikes his shoulder because she's incredibly petty, which we'll comment on that a bit later. And the episode ends as the Earth Demon Beast erupts from the ground. He devours Bado Boss, who's holding the extreme growth extract. And the Gingaman, he survives a direct hit from the combined earth power of the Gingaman. And then it enlarges, taking on this more giant form. And the Gingaman summon their Star Beast to try and fight it off, while Zahab prepares to dock the Balbon ship with the Earth's Demon Beast, and that's how the episode ends. So what do we think about this one, guys?
I'm going to start off with the controversial part of this episode first, just so we can get it over with and move on to the fun stuff.
Yep.
So I was kind of underwhelmed by the Hayate Salinda thing, mainly because it just felt so undeserved at this point. Like, we just established, like, okay, I know we've had the rivalry kind of going for a little while in the season. I don't remember when it first began, but we've only really had, like, one episode where the rivalry is acknowledged by both parties and they have a fight over it. So, having this be in the endgame arc, it felt a little underwhelming and undeserved to me. But I want to hear what you guys have to say about that.
I mean, doesn't that just fit into the theme of Hayate's writing in this season, where it's undercooked? we had this discussion last episode.
Yeah, but I just want to draw attention to it again because I wanted to like this battle. Because if I'm honest with y'all, of the generals we've had in this season, Celinda's one of my more favored ones.
She's kind of boring.
Well, I like her better because, one, she does something beyond, like, let's create a monster of the week. She tries to establish something with Hayate. It's not well cooked. It's kind of a little bit raw, but at least there's something memorable about her. Most of the other ones kind of blow my head, like they're just kind of there.
And I'll add to that. Riz, she actually at least did stuff that wasn't part of the main plan. Other times there'll be episodes like the main general's doing something, but she's behind the scenes doing something on her own, basically helping out in her own
Yeah,
way.
and so it's stuff like that kind of makes Celinda. Look, I'm not saying Celinda's like a 10 out of 10 good general. Hell, I'm not even saying she's like an 8. But
Right.
compared to the other generals, I think she's one of the better ones.
But the problem I have here is that there's no real good given reason for why she and Hayate have a rivalry. Like,
No, not at all.
You could have her have a rivalry with anyone. You could give her a rivalry with Hikaru or Saya, and there would literally be no difference. And that's why, honestly, like, this is probably one of the bottom rivalries that I've seen, because even some rivalries that aren't as fleshed out, there was still some reasons. Like, some of the best rivalries in Sentai, why are Marvelous and Bosco rivalries? Because they used to work together as pirates, and Bosco turned against Marvelous because he's a greedy jerk. Why is Juzo going after Takeru? Because Juzo wants to have an ultimate opponent, and he senses something in Takeru. Why? Some other examples. Like, why does this one wasn't as fleshed out as much, but it still was better handled than this. Why does Ian have a rivalry with Igaron? I think that was what Wrench's counterpart was called.
I forgot about that one, to be honest with you.
But that one still had some fleshing out because
no, definitely.
Igaron killed Ian's friend. So, like, but why does she want to go after Hayate? Because he scarred her in battle? Like, no. What?
I mean, there's no reason for it.
I mean, I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed too. Trust me, Nate. If someone discards you for life,
But I wish there was more
too.
to it.
Just
Like
saying.
maybe have her maybe during like the second episode when she was trying to like turn the whole place to stone, when she was trying to drain the Ginga forest, like maybe she severely hurt Miharu and left Hayate with some uncertainty over whether or not he would actually see his fiance again. Like even if he got back to the Ginga forest, maybe she would be dead. Like I don't know. Like you needed a little bit more of like there needed to be a bit more of some ingredients to this rivalry in order for it to really stand out.
Yeah, because essentially the best way I could describe her reason for hating Hayate is she's just screaming "Stop ignoring me" at him over and over again.
Exactly.
And like you said in your outline, she's petty, and that's pettiness.
Yeah, like I mean, frankly, like even though I don't know if they were kind of going for this or not, like even Akira and General Schwartz's rivalry with Intel Kuger was kind of better handled than this because at least then you could kind of say, well, Akira used to be part of the Shadow Line, and he might have worked with General Schwartz, and General Schwartz kind of took his betrayal personally or something. Like, there's ways that you can kind of flesh it out. Like, I don't know. I've seen a lot of good villain and ranger rivalries, and this is not one of them.
Shoot, I even thought Mega Red and Ugande was better handled. Ugande's character is equivalent to a plank of wood.
So, who is Ugande in space terminology?
Yeah.
Ugande is Ecliptor.
Okay.
He's got the personality of a plank of wood, and his rivalry with Mega Red was better than this.
So, basically, Ecliptor's better. Got it.
It is that he's not lying. It's true. Yes, pretty much.
But what else did we want to talk about with this episode? Now that we kind of got that part taken care of.
I definitely liked Bacradis's sacrifice there, and it kind of speaks to in the beginning, Bacradis is trying to use Hyuga, but I think as they progress through that 10 whatever episode arc, I think they grew to become friend-ish. Not going to say that they were friends, but I think they at least had some kind of connection, and that was nice to see him try to help in the end,
Yeah, Hyuga kind of rubbed off on him a little bit.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty awesome. The entire mounting the pirate ship on the back of the Earth Beast monster or the Earth Demon monster or whatever you call him, but I like the emotional build-up with everything else. But I'll let y'all talk. I've been talking way too much.
Honestly, there isn't much else to say because this is just leading into closing everything up. So, outside of the revelation of him having the jewel of his own planet shoved in his chest and was basically making him immortal, there's not much else to say here.
Do you guys think that should have been introduced earlier than this episode?
Honestly, they held off on it and it worked out okay because it kind of left the suspension of why was Hyuga working with him the whole time anyway, because it was clear that there was something missing there, and it was to build up tension. And having it revealed here, I think, worked out pretty well.
Are you specifically talking about Bacradis, or are you talking about Zahab?
I'm talking about why Hyuga was working with him and what it was about Zahab that they needed to work together. Like that whole thing. Okay. I thought the reveal of he needed to use this axe to break the planet jewel in his chest. That's the whole reason they were working together in the first place.
Honestly, I didn't mind having it there because to me, it added some suspense because it kept teasing you and hook lining and sinking you into this, making you wonder what is it that is going on here that made it so necessary for Bacratus and Hyoga to go off and have their own camping escapades out in the woods, you know?
Yep, and seeing how they wanted to kill Brucati's off here, this is the latest they could possibly have revealed the twist or the
Yeah.
information to us. So I think it was perfectly
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Nate? Because I know you're the one that asked, so do you have a different opinion?
Well, no. I mean, I thought it was perfectly fine because it kind of makes sense from like an in-universe perspective. Like maybe Bucrates is trying to intentionally like keep a lot of stuff from Hyuga because Hyuga could turn on him, once he gets all that information or something. So I thought it was great. I was just wondering if you guys had a different opinion than mine.
No, I
Yeah.
was fully okay with it.
And I just want to finish this up by saying that, like, as much as the Lost Galaxy villains are better as a whole than the villains here, Bucrates is better than his counterpart in Lost Galaxy by a long shot because his counterpart is literally nothing more than he's
Yeah.
supposed to be like Villamax's little like assistant dude who doesn't do anything. I don't even remember what Kegler does half the time in the series.
I forgot he was even in Lost Galaxy.
I mean, if you want to know how useless he is, like there's no explanation on how he dies. The scorpion stinger just crashes with him still on board, and that's it. We don't know what happened to him after that. So, but yeah, what do we want to give this out of 10?
I think I'll give it an 8.
I was kind of thinking an 8 just because this is really a setting up type of episode compared to like
Yeah.
a doing episode.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
stuff does happen, but not really at the same time.
Yeah, I think 8 is appropriate.
I'll get an 8 as well.
All right, cool. And
8's
that
all
moves
around.
us to our final chapter to end Gingaman. Tomorrow's Legends, which it begins with Zahab docking the Balbon ship with the Earth Demon Beast, but he doesn't stay on the Earth Demon Beast for long because Boltaris hits the ship with the Night Axe, and the ship gets destroyed. Zahab gets expelled, and then Hyuga ejects from Boltaris and takes Zahab on one while the other Gingamen fight the Earth Demon Beast with Gingayo and the Steel Star Beasts, and ultimately the Gingamen are able to combine their Earth power together to form a powerful main of fire, and they scorch the Earth Demon Beast and completely destroy it. And because they scorched it and burned it, that means that there's not going to be any more remains of its body to give birth to another monster. And then the Gingamen join with Hyuga to fight Zahab. Zahab destroys the Night Axe, and Hyuga gets hurt really badly. Ryoma takes Hyuga to safety, and pretty much, so Hyuga isn't really feeling down. He's just kind of vowing to fight, even if he doesn't have Earth power anymore. But Ryoma tells Hyuga that he still has Earth power inside him, and it's basically a pep talk similar to what Hyuga told him in the first episode before he fell into the ground. They even show a flashback of that. And then the two rejoin the Gingaman. I'm assuming that because the Night Axe got destroyed, Hyuga's Earth power has been restored, and they're able to use it to blast Zahab. And with Haruhiku and Yuta cheering them on, all 6 Gingaman come together for one final transformation. They defeat Zahab, with a combined attack. Zahab is defeated. The Gingaman stand victorious, and they cheer on their victory. And then immediately as they win, they see a light in the distance, and they find the Ginga forest has been restored. It's basically implied that the Earth is giving them back their home as a thank you for saving the world from the Balbon. Ogi, Maharu, and many other people of the forest arrive at the entrance to greet the Gingaman. They all get welcomed home, and the ending theme begins and the credits roll where we see all these epilogues. The Gingaman, they replant Moke's seed. They allow him to grow again in the Ginga forest and reunite with the crew. Hayate and Miharu rekindle their relationship. Goki takes Suzuko on a date in the Ginga forest, which is absolutely adorable. Ryoma vows to Yuta that even though they're not going to be living together anymore, they're still going to be friends. And the episode ends, as well as the series ends, as the Gingaman all run into the forest with Yuta, and Boku tells the audience, "Hey, I hope we'll meet again." And that's how the episode ends, on that charmingly cute note. So yeah, that is the that is the last episode of Gingaman. And what do we all think about that, gentlemen?
I didn't go for it.
Can I say one thing first? I was gonna say really since
What
you
was
didn't
that?
catch that. I said you didn't catch what you said earlier. I light in the
Are you
distance.
talking about the Dino Thunder thing? Oh man.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
why I
a
was like,
Dino
I was like,
Thunder
wait,
reference?
you didn't know that?
There's a light
guess-
in the distance. Blah, 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 blah.
I guess that's. Yeah, okay. I just totally made it.
I was holding it. Yeah, I was holding it. I was like, I gotta say something about because I know somebody in the comments is gonna say something like that.
The one thing I never caught the first time I watched this season that I caught here was that moment when Ryoma saves Hyuga and takes him away and they have that talk. It really encapsulates how well the two have changed since the start of the season, where Hyuga's at his lowest point where he feels like he betrayed them for giving up his earth power, and now here's Ryoma talking him up, saying that he's strong enough and he has earth power still inside of him. It's like what a 180 from the first episode, huh? It's not the same Ryoma we saw in episode 1.
No, it
And
isn't.
Hyuga, like, the whole season has basically been Hyuga sees in Ryoma what Ryoma doesn't see in himself, and then for one time Ryoma tells Hyuga that there's more to him than what Hyuga sees in himself, and it turns into this awesome moment where they just burn the planet jewel inside of Zehab's chest to pieces. Like, man, that was such a good scene.
Riz, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I was waiting for these two to finish up their going on. I honestly thought this is a really strong finale. I've been struggling the last couple of days, not because of the episode, nothing to do with Gingaman itself, but I can't understand. So I've been on Reddit a lot, and I did like a search on Reddit of Gingaman just to see what people were really saying about it, because me and Nate had talked about it during one of our pre-recording sessions for one of the MMPR return comics that we did during the week, and we were joking that we're very contrarian and that we like things that the fandom doesn't like. So, I kind of knew that the fandom didn't like Gingaman, but I hadn't really gone out of my way to really see that discourse. So I did a deep dive onto Reddit a couple of nights ago, just out of curiosity. And I was pleasantly surprised to find out that a lot of people actually love Gingaman, but the people who hate Gingaman for the finale. And I can't understand that. Because exactly what Patrick is talking about with
Me neither.
the Hyuga-Ryoma relationship at the end, that build up all the emotion is just really well done. So I'm just left confused on why the fandom is being the fandom right now. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Some people don't have good taste.
I mean, if I had to guess, maybe they have a problem with just how the Gingaman take down Zahab, because there's no real major difference between how they take Zahab down and how they've taken down other monsters. Like Hyuga does his little finishing move, and then the other Gingaman do their little Ginga Lights finishing move, but they've defeated at least 10 monsters in that exact same way. So maybe they were just kind of hoping for a more epic final battle, but that's not. I mean, I get that, but that's more of a style thing.
Well, it's also kind of implied how the planet jewel in his chest was just making him a god. You take that away, he's not that much more powerful than anything else they've killed. That's kind of the point. They broke the jewel, and the Gingamen and them knew they had him. and they just went for the kill without hesitating.
Oh yeah.
So I don't see a problem with that.
No, and I thought this episode did a good job at wrapping up everything nicely with a nice little bow on top, which is something that I don't see a lot of Sentais doing well. Like, sometimes they just end abruptly with no real, conclusion. It's like, oh, Big Bad's dead. All right, season's over. Bye, guys.
Yeah, and going back to the last Kobayashi season we did, I made a big fit over how Time Ranger just kind of didn't give the characters a chance to really say goodbye to one another.
I hated that finale for that
The
reason, or I hated that
Gingaman,
part of it.
Gingaman and Shinkenger, for that
Yeah.
matter, did a much better job of
Yeah.
because they had like skip arounds into the future of like showing them like celebrate their time back in the Ginga Forest and introducing the people they met on the outside to the Ginga Forest. And Shinkenger's was this time skip of them saying their goodbyes to Takaru before they left the Shiba house. But Time Ranger was just like, oh shoot, reality is pulling us back. Bye. What the freak was
And
that?
so, Patrick, I know you have not seen Tokuser, so this is directed more at Nathan and Anthony. But if I'm being honest with everyone in the call, I would argue that Tokuser did it better with the closer than Time Ranger did.
I mean, I have to see.
Yeah, I can agree with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I could agree with that to some extent. I would.
Because they had that little, period of time at the end of the finale where everyone is reverted back to being a child, and you do get some sense of closure with them kind of, doing their thing. But Time Ranger, it's just like, okay, peace out, guys, bye. All in 0.5 seconds.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a Showa era type of finale to me.
Yeah.
But
But I think this is a pretty well done finale. I like the energy of them joining forces to take down Zahab, and I did find it funny that before episode 49, I watched it. I kind of thought to myself, okay, so we got quite a bit left to do here in terms of like killing people. You gotta kill Zahab, you gotta kill Badabas, you gotta kill Celinda, and you gotta take out the damn Earth Demon Beast. So I'ma predict that Celinda and Badabos will be killed in episode 49, leaving Zahab and the Earth Demon Beast for 50. And look at that, guys. I was right.
yeah, it was definitely a well-paced in-game arc.
Yeah. And that could have killed the finale if they hadn't paced it well and they killed 4 of them at the last minute,
Yeah, for sure.
Also, it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
that much more different than their other roll calls, but there was just something a little bit more extra badass about their final roll call this time.
But was there anything actually different in the sequence? Because I didn't think there was.
I think, was this one of the first times Hugo was a part of it? Because he wasn't a part of very many.
I think he was part of like maybe 1 or 2 of them, but he wasn't
He
regularly
He was
part.
part of like at least one.
Yeah.
But this was like one of the few times where they had a full proper 6-man roll call.
Well,
So it
that's
was,
because they never henson together as a group of
yeah,
6.
exactly. So save that moment for the last time. It felt like the team was finally together for once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did we think about the final scene, like during the end credits, though?
What with them introducing everybody to the Ginga Force and everything.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, kind of hard to not tear up a little bit.
I think
It
it was pretty
genuinely was.
awesome. I think it was pretty awesome seeing Goki and his girl walking around. That was the best part to me.
Yeah, really.
I will say, I wish they had done a little bit more with the Saya Hyoga plot, but I understand that they didn't.
Yeah, that could have been fleshed out a little bit more, but
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, it's a small thing. I wanted it because I was a huge fan of Saya, and I wanted her to get everything in life because she deserves it and more.
Do you want to add anything on your thoughts on the finale, Anthony?
Overall, like, it was a satisfying conclusion. It honestly was. And then with Yuga, like, getting his arc back was like,
Yeah.
icing on the cake.
And I mean, I don't. The funny thing is that much like the Lost Galaxy, like it's 3 episodes long, but again, I just feel like there's way more like emotion and even some character development for Hyuga and Ryoma, as opposed to the Lost Galaxy arc, where I don't hate the Lost Galaxy in-game arc. I mean, I really like that final scene where Kendricks gets reborn, even though that makes absolutely no sense, but whatever. And I like that final scene with the music playing in the background, but again, like Lost Galaxy is just, I mean, yeah, I can't understand why people think that Lost Galaxy is better than this. I really can't for the life of me figure it out.
The best part of Lost Galaxy's finale was Leo's thumbs up at the very end. That was sick, but yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I have to ask, I mean, and I'll say this again when we review Lost Galaxy, but like, why did like normally I'm okay with them doing this if like the character dies at the end or something, but why did you have Mike lose his powers before the final episode? I mean, if Hyuga died here, okay, cool, fine, fair enough, but Hyuga's still alive, and he's gonna be. He's in Gokaiger to represent the Gingaman in the Mega Ranger versus Gingaman movie, which takes place after this series. By the way, he's there, alive and well, fighting with them. Like, why did you sort of kind of ish kill Mike off? Like that's another reason why I like this finale more, because it's just cool to see Hyuga part of the group again, coming together with them for like the final battle, which I know is kind of a minor nitpick, but Hyuga just felt more of a team member to the team than Mike ever did in Lost Galaxy. But what do we want to give the final episode out of 10, guys?
Sorry, I'm giving it a 10. I have to.
I mean, you have to. There's no other number you can give it.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
10 out of
Let's see
10.
again.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. So that moves us to our final analysis, where we don't really have to talk about the villains because
Do we ever have to talk about the villains?
I mean, we could talk about them briefly.
Bukrati was the best one by the end.
Doesn't matter there because they're all dead.
What were you about to say, Patrick?
I said Bukrati's was probably the best one by the end, just because his whole thing with Hyuga was really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
But the villains for the season were just kind of whatever.
The villains were very meh. Like I was saying earlier, I didn't personally like any general in this thing, and I like the only villain characters I like was Bukrati's and crap, I can't even remember his name. The merchant of whatever.
What, Biznella?
Yeah, Biznella. He was awesome.
I liked him too.
Biznella.
But everyone else was kind of meh.
Like, even in this, Yasuko Kobayashi doesn't
after those
always
two, Celinda's like a far third.
Yeah. A far third.
Zahab was terribly boring to me. I thought Zahab was terrible.
Yeah. Like, Yasuko Kobayashi doesn't always make the best villains. Like, I mean, we talked about how boring the Shinkenger villains are, but she always manages to have, like, a couple of interesting villains. I would say the Bukrati's and maybe Biznella to some extent are those. Like, when we looked at the Time Ranger, I mean, okay, we liked Doniro, but he wasn't really a villain. Gian was an amazing villain.
Yeah, I was about to say, but it's weird because I think out of the 3 that we've reviewed here, Time Ranger's probably the the weakest of the three, but it has the best villains of the three.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, let me fix that sentence for you. Time Ranger has Gian.
Yeah, and Gian is next to Juzo. Gian is the best villain out of any of these three seasons.
Agreed.
Yeah, and in
Like that.
Shinkenger, no one was interesting other than Juzo.
And what is it with her fascination with pirate themed villains? That's 2 seasons now.
I don't know. Maybe she just maybe she just saw One Piece before she wrote. Wait, when did One Piece start coming out? Did it come out before this? Because this started in
Uh,
1998.
I think it was 96. I think is when One Piece started. I
One
can't remember.
Piece. So One Piece came out July 1997 as a manga in the Weekly Shonen Jump.
Okay,
So it's
then that,
So
possible.
then that was like a year before this came out. Then so maybe
It's
she just liked
possible.
One Piece.
the anime came out in '99, began, and it's still going. It's over
The
20
man,
years old. What the heck?
the manga's still going.
Okay.
I would probably say like with the Tokuger villains, she's. I mean, Zed was okay, but not anybody else. But
Uh,
honestly, probably the best villain cast that she did all around, like the best well-rounded villains, is probably Go Busters because both Enter
Yep.
and Escape, those are great
yeah.
Yeah,
characters.
I've heard nothing but good things about Enter as a villain.
No, Enter and Escape are both really awesome. But
Oh
I
yeah,
want to rewatch Go
amazing.
Buster because I watched it so long ago now that I don't remember too much of it, and that's not saying it's a bad season. It's just I've seen too many Sentai since then.
Yeah, but that's
But I mean, we're talking about Go Busters. Yeah, it just sucks, and I'm honestly glad that they did what they did with his character because honestly, he was not an
it
interesting
was not
character
an
at all.
interesting character. Oh yeah, but
Messiah.
ultimately, Enter was just the main villain anyway. So
Yeah, Enter's all that mattered. Nobody else mattered all that much. I
now,
mean,
well,
yeah.
Escape was cool.
Escape. I was about to say Escape was cool, but Enter was the villain at the end of the day. You know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I guess if we're just talking about Yasuko Kobayashi seasons, it would be kind of a sin to compare this to like some of the great villains that we've seen on Miss Sentai. I would say the Balban, like, I guess as a whole, but again, I kind of cut her a little bit of slack since this was her first ever outing as a Sentai head writer. The Balban are probably her weakest villains because I remember when, before we even started Gingaman, like, you know, I was talking with Patrick and Anthony and just saying like, I mean, she always has like one interesting villain, and then Patrick was asking me, really, who do you think is interesting in Gingaman? And okay, Bukrades and Bizno are great, but are they on the level of Gian or Dorniro or Zed or Juzo? No. So I think ultimately we have to say these are her weakest villains.
They
Which
definitely are.
Yeah.
But I guess to before we all give our closing thoughts and like final grade, we should go into Ranger analysis. Since we like all these characters, I guess I'm not going to be a sadistic jerk and make us rank them from best to worst. We can all just give the final tier ranking from them instead,
Nathan, nothing has changed for me from the last time I did this ranking.
which was
Uh,
Me neither.
let's see. I think I said Ryoma, Goki, Saya, Hyuga were all S tier. Hikaru was A tier. Twisting into S tier territory, very hard. And Hayate was like a C tier.
okay. And would we generally agree with that, all of us?
I would probably put Hayate a little bit higher than that, but for the most part, yes.
He's like a B
Yeah, that
minus
sounds
for
about
me.
right.
I mean, it's like
So,
Patrick said,
I mean-
I'm the harshest of the critics in the group. And
Yeah.
Hayate just got staffed on so badly in this season. I mean, I know we've spent a lot of the last podcast and a few minutes of this podcast are already going over that, but it still bears repeating that Hayate just didn't get anything except for a tomato and a honey allergy.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I would probably say the most disappointing like the biggest surprise for me was that I was surprised that I really liked Hikaru more on my second watch around, which probably tells me that like some people might, if you watch the series once and you end up disliking Hikaru, like some people might, you might want to watch the series again, because if you rewatch the series, he's not nearly as bad. I mean, I've seen way worse Sentai Rangers, even in
Yeah.
ones that we've reviewed. So
Mhm.
I don't know if I would call Hikaru an S tier though, but he's definitely an A tier for me.
He's encroaching on S tier, but he needed a little bit more to get there.
Yeah, like he's
Yeah.
almost on the level of Luca, Kotoha, Domon, and Himeno for me. So maybe I would probably have him at.
I wouldn't say all
he's
that.
worse than all of those characters.
Yeah, he
but
is.
He's like the next tier down at
Yeah.
worst.
But
Yeah,
I will.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I will say it's nice to see that Gingaman cast for the most part broke into my top threes for different colors.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about that, Riz. Like you
You
said
know
that.
my rankings. I'm gonna say them again. I have the text pulled up.
No, I know. No. I was going to ask you about that. Like you said, your top three were. Wait, what were your top three blues again? I can't find that text.
Yanma Goki.
Okay, is there a reason why you have Goki higher than ISA?
Yes, I just again ISA was a good character, but Goki. I side with Goki a lot more personality wise.
Yeah,
Understandable.
that's fair enough.
Like ISA is a great character. He's definitely top 5. He's number 4 on my list, FYI.
Who was number 2?
So
Who was? Oh yeah,
Gokai
Joe. Okay.
bias.
Yeah, Gokai Blue. Yeah.
That's my Gokai bias through and through, and I'm not going to even try and defend it. Just accept it, Mr. Sinkenzer. But no, I think ISA is a great character, but I think Goki consistently had more going on throughout. ISA had like things happen, and then nothing happened for a while, and then things happen again, and then oh crap, things really happen again. But with Goku, we could see it all throughout, even in other character-focused episodes. Goki, even if it's not about him, Goki was still interacting and making himself part of it. And I'm talking about stuff like that episode, I don't know if it was the honey or the tomato, one of the two, where
Tomato
Goki's
episode.
trying to cook for Hayate. And it's an episode all about Hayate, but Goki is the one that stole it from him. And he's the reason we gave that episode even somewhat of a semblance of a good grade. Like, if it wasn't for the Goki stuff, that would have been a waste. And then there are other times where I can think of Goki not being the center of attention, but he still was the one to be like, okay, I can't go any lower on the score because of Goki, right? Like, that's happened. We've all said it more than once in this podcast series. I didn't say that for ISA that often, if ever.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And so, I'm sorry. I know you love ISA and that he's your top 3, but Goki has done way more to make this season stand out and be in the top 3 of my, like, top 4 of my Sentai.
Yeah, and I might have that debate in my head for a while now, whether so my number 1 is Yanma. Like, Yanma just proved to me that he's undisputedly number 1. But I'll probably have that debate in my head for a while, just kind of thinking, like, do I like Goki or do I like ISA better? Because I think ISA is really badass, but I find Goki to be a very relatable character, and even though I watched Gingaman for the first time like 10 years ago, I remembered everything about Goki. Like, he was just a lovable character. Like,
yeah.
So,
like,
yeah, I can definitely see why you think he's better than ISA. I was just curious.
Yeah, because to me, Goki is consistently throughout the season better. There's not like any time where Goki kind of blends into the background. Even in the first 10 episodes when he didn't have a focus, I know I was being a little bit more harsh on him because I'm Rizwan, but he still was showing his character in those episodes. He just didn't have a focus episode, which is what I wanted him to have in the first 10. That's the only reason I didn't care for Goki as much, because I wanted the focus episode. But his personality is consistently loud and proud and present all throughout. And
Yep.
he has an impact in the Gingaman team that's undisputable. Like, without Goki, I mean, he's kind of the glue to me of the team, if I'm being honest with y'all.
Yeah, for sure. Like that, I don't think it's outright stated in the show, but a lot of like databases have said that like Goki is the oldest of the team, so he's kind of like the
Yeah.
big brother who's taking care of everybody else.
Exactly. So this this is why I think Goki rates higher than most every other blue not named Yanma and So. And if I'm being completely honest, and I'm taking the Gokai bias out for Patrick, I would probably say Yanma, Goki, and So.
Yeah,
And that's still, yeah, because Joe is still a fantastic character, and I just related to him, and I thought he just was an amazing character that just watched on
I
screen.
mean, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, because even though I've made it very vocal, one of my complaints with Gokaiger is that I didn't think the cast was well developed. Joe's kind of the exception.
Exactly. So, you know, even if you, the one who's not really a big Gokai fan, is saying that, that means a lot, you know?
Yeah.
I guess the only other thing, like, because we're not just doing the tier rankings, but we're also kind of giving some final thoughts on some of these characters.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to say that like I'm really surprised. Like, I don't know if we're a minority on this or not, but like to call like Ryoma an S tier red, I mean, I feel like that's an understatement.
He's the
Like,
second best red in Sentai behind Takaru for me.
He's the second best red after Marvelous for me.
I loved him after my first watch of Gingaman, but after this second watch through, I love him more.
I mean,
He's such a good character.
he's just, he goes through so much crap,
Really
you know? Like, every time you think, okay, now Ryoma has a chance to kind of breathe and relax, things happen. Like in the beginning, Ryoma is spending the first, I can't remember, I think like 20 episodes kind of living in the shadow of doubt of, okay, my brother died, that's why I'm the red, I don't deserve to be here. And then when he finally starts to get some confidence, he finally starts to feel like he can do this, lo and behold, his brother comes back from the dead in like 5 episodes from that. And then he has to deal with his brother being back. And admittedly, this is the part where Ryoma starts a bit weaker to me, is when Hyoga is on the team prior to the Bacrades arc. We don't get as much as I personally wanted of the two of them interacting and doing things together. But even the little bit we did get of them was still satisfying to see them in that relaxed state of enjoying stuff. And then once again, Hyoga's been taken by Bacrades. He lost his earth power, allegedly. And he has to, deal with the fact that once again, his family life is kind of in ruins. And it takes until the finale for him to get his brother back and help him reestablish a link to the earth power. So, I mean, just all throughout, Ryoma is going through crap.
yeah,
And yet he
and
comes out the other side stronger every time.
Yeah.
And
And, like, go ahead.
so like remember when we were doing like the tier rankings of the Red Rangers, and I kind of said that I kind of invoked Ryoma a little bit when I talked about why I wanted to rank Leo so low. Here's the thing, like I when I originally watched this like 10 years ago, like the most stuff that I remembered is Ryoma gets separated from Hyuga, then Hyuga comes back and becomes Black Knight, but then Ryoma gets separated from him again. The main part that I remembered that had me believe that he was an S tier was that, oh, he gets separated from Hyuga again, but he's able to like pull through and be handle it a lot better the second time. I forgot some of like the stuff that happens in the middle. Like I forgot just how big of an impact the Bull Black story arc has on him. Like where
Yeah.
it really puts his self confidence to the test on a
Yeah.
huge level. Like I forgot some of those minor details, but that just makes someone who was already an S tier character like an S plus plus tier character for me.
And I mean, the other thing that's really amazing about Ryuma's
Mhm.
character to me is that when Hyogo's taken a second time, he has the confidence that I talked about him getting before the revival of Hyoga in like episode 20 or whatever. I don't remember when it happened. And that confidence has been kind of slowly cooking for the better part of 15, 20 episodes, give or take. And so by the time Hyoga's taken again, Ryo's a different guy. He's not that kid from episode 1 who's just kind of freaking out. He's a full blown red hero, and he knows how to handle his business, and he knows how to keep the team on track, and he knows that, okay, I can't get emotional. I can't let my family pride and family issues get in the way. There's things that are much bigger on stake here. And even if it costs me my brother's life, I'm going to do what's right for the world and not my family life.
But he
That's a
also
big
has,
freaking deal.
and he also has the awareness to know that he knows his brother well enough to trust what he was trying to do. He wouldn't have just surrendered himself to Bucrates that easily without a reason.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Ryoma, like, I don't know if we're a minority on this, but like, Ryoma deserves, like, I mean, I personally think that part of me wants to say that he might be better than even Takeru and Marvelous just because of his arcs. Like, I recognize that Takeru and Marvelous have the more badass moments, but from like a character development like stage, let me put it to you like this: like Takeru is kind of like Andros, like he has character development, but it's in a much different way. Ryoma feels very reminiscent of even though he came before Casey from Jungle Fury, like
I was
someone
about to
who
make that comparison. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No,
So
definitely.
to the point where like I mean, I'm pretty sure that like if somebody was to say that like Casey is a better Red Ranger than Andros, like okay, we disagree, but that's a perfectly defensible opinion to have.
Yep.
Yeah, part of
So,
me might feel tempted to say Ryoma might be my favorite.
okay. So I'm going to say it like this. I think Marvelous is the GOAT Red from a perspective of being the most badass, one of the most well developed Reds, in my opinion. Sorry, Patrick. I know you don't care to think that, but I do. And I think for those reasons, Marvelous is like the GOAT Red. Like he's the hype man, and he's the one that really like gets me going. You know, like he's the Red I always go back and say, like, okay, that's what I want a Red to be like. But if we're looking at purely story driven technical detail and writing and all that stuff, I would probably say that Ryoma is the best written Red, and in that aspect, I think he's the best. But I think Marvelous is still the goat because of that extra oomph that he has in terms of like spirit and personality. But I think Ryoma is definitely the best written Red I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's interchangeable between those three,
Yeah.
Yeah,
honestly.
and see, my thing about
They each
Takeru,
have,
why
they
I
each
can,
they each excel at different aspects. So it's kind of
yeah.
hard to fairly compare them.
Well, I think if I'm being honest about it, Takeru and Marvelous have some similarity in their like stoicness, but I think where Takeru and Marvelous deviate is you can see Marvelous's like struggles with Bosco and the Red Crew prior to the Gokaijers forming and all that stuff throughout, and you can kind of build a story for him all throughout. Takeru is kind of like slowly
Closed.
brewing and closed off, and you don't know what the hell's going on until like episode 45, 46. I don't
Yeah,
even know anymore.
Marvelous's backstory was like a slow burn throughout the season. While Takeru's, they just dropped everything like a sack of bricks right at the
Yeah,
very
and
end.
see, I still need to rewatch Senkinzer again just to kind of watch it now that I know how it ends. You know, because I
Yeah,
think
it's a season that gets better on rewatch because you see the little hints
Yeah.
and like twitches in Takeru's character that kind of imply stuff
Yeah.
early on. 'Cause
yeah, but
I said that when we were watching Shinkenger. It's a season of hindsight.
yeah, but see, I think the problem is, and maybe I'll disagree with this when I do my Senkinzer rewatch in the future on my own. But I think putting Takeru's story development all at one point at the end is that minor detriment that, to me, drops him a peg down to spot 3. But I don't know what I'll think about that when I do the rewatch and I see what you saw.
Okay, that's understandable.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we were to like
And
draw
just to
comparisons
complete
with,
my character
you know,
analysis
like Red
with like the
Rangers.
color rankings, because what?
Wait, what did you say, Riz?
I was saying I was going to move on to another color.
Okay. I mean, we don't have to
Um,
talk about Hayate that much because and we've already talked about
No, I'm not
Hikaru.
even. I'm not bringing up Hayate at all. I've already ruined that man's life.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
But you put
All right, Riz. Y'all, Hayate's 3 fans gonna come out.
Look,
Yeah,
man,
all I'm going
I
to
got
say
you.
about. Go ahead, Riz.
I got the army of Marvelous behind me. It's all good. They can take those 3 fans.
Okay, all I'm going to say about Hayate is this: like, dude, I really Chiaki's getting pretty lonely there, as the only Green Ranger in the S tier. I was really hoping you could give him some company, but dang it, you have to go and ruin it. Chiaki is still there, all alone. Like, why couldn't you go the Chiaki route? Why do you have to be like Soji?
So
Why do you have to be like Soji and Hikari?
now, one question for you, Nate. Why do you specify green only for that ranking when it's interchangeable green and black?
Well, I mean, I guess it's just because I like to do my top 5 Black Rangers and my top 5 Green Rangers. I recognize that like it is interchangeable, but it's just weird how like in that group, if we're lumping Green and Black Rangers together, there's still only 2 Rangers there. There's 1 Black and there's 1 Green, and you already know who the Black is. It's Guy and
Chiaki.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been some other good Black Rangers. Like maybe when we do Mega Ranger again, I could feel tempted to put Mega Black there. But
I was about to bring him up. I was like, he's probably number 3. He's number 3, probably.
Yeah, because I thought you would tell me Mega Black would be the other S tier Black.
Yeah, and he could. When we do Mega Ranger again, there's a very good possibility that I'd put him in the S tier. And possibly Boken Black when we do Bokinger, but I'm going to have to... But the jury is still out on that. But yeah, I think it's more not just necessarily because, I want Hayate to like give Chiaki some company and the S tier. It's like, could I get more S tier Rangers just from that little position in the team?
Another Black Ranger we could put. He's not on their level, but he's up there, and that's Jiraiya.
From Kaku?
Yeah, he's a good character, but he's not an S tier Ranger.
No, but he's up there. He's not on their level, but he's a top 5.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, I think Saya might be a little lonely up there too in the pinks.
Yeah, I keep saying that Boken Pink would... Let me be honest. The only reason I've said that like Boken Pink is like S tier is because I have some personal, like, I think that she's a great character, but when we go into Bokinger, I'm thoroughly convinced I'm probably not going to think that she's actually an S tier Ranger. So
is this similar to your love of Kotoha, or is it something different?
It's something a little different. She's not a Kotoha character.
Okay.
but yeah, I would say that like the only S tier Rangers, if we kind of put them all together with like Pink, White, and then kind of put Rita in since she's kind of the Pink Ranger role, like
Yeah.
the three S tier characters for me there are Saya for sure now. I used to have Saya as an A tier. She's an S tier now for me.
Yep.
Rita, who I want to say is number one, and the only other character I can think of that deserves to be an S tier is Surahime.
Surname. Heck yeah.
Who?
My girl Ninja White.
Okay, I didn't hear the name. It was kind of like
Yeah.
mumbled out.
My girl Surahime.
Yeah.
Yeah, Riz, I know, but you were gonna put.
yeah.
I know, but you put Kotoha
Definitely.
as like one of your top three. No, not Kotoha. I am, but
Yeah.
and she's a great character. But is she
Well,
S tier? Not in my opinion.
No.
I didn't. No, I have on an S tier, but of the pink, white, purples that I've seen, my ranking is Rita, Saya, Ahim, because I haven't seen any other good pink or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Kaku Ranger because I fully know when I see Kaku Ranger, the Surima will be pretty high up there in the book.
yeah, and I get, and there's a lot of A tier pinks that we've seen. Like I am is A tier, Mako is A tier.
Mako's definitely A tier. I'll give you that.
Mega Pink.
Yeah, when we do Mega Ranger, I'm pretty sure Mega Pink is still going to be in the A tier. But yeah, I mean, Saya rose to an S tier. And again, people at TokuCast, I respect you. I like your work, but can you please explain why you think that Saya is one of the top 10 worst pink Sentai Rangers? Because I don't agree with that.
And see, I'm thinking about other pinks that come after like the Gokai phase that I watched a bit more of. And I can't
Amy's
think.
fun, but she's
Who?
not. Was that the name of a Kyoryu Pink?
Was it Amy?
Amy, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Amy's.
She's
I think
fun,
Amy's
but
an
I
arc in
wouldn't.
A.
Yeah, she's fun, but she's not like super incredible.
No, she's a fun. I would say either A or B tier. I don't remember too much though, to be honest with you. Like I'd have to go rewatch Q Reads or to figure out A or B for her. Kagura, I think that's her name in Tokyuzer. She's adorable on the Kotoha level, but she's not given as much like stuff.
But yeah, I mean, Saya just, I mean...
Yeah, Saya's is top tier.
And I guess just to kind of finish up with, like, just talking about these, like, do we want to consider Hyuga the Sixth Ranger? Like, do we just want to say,
yes.
screw what Gokaiger says?
We've been debating this for a while, you and I don't understand why Gokaiger put him in the Extra Ranger category.
Probably because he's technically not a Gingaman by logic. He's the Black Knight.
Yeah, but at the same time, explain... Crap, what is he called? Robo Knight? And the Sentai?
Yeah, Gosei Knight.
Yeah, explain him.
I don't know.
Okay,
in fact, I would say that he's more of a Sixth Ranger. Well, okay, maybe I'm stretching it a little bit, but like the reason why I consider him a Sixth Ranger is because like with the Extra Rangers that we see, like every now and then those Extra Ranger characters, some more than others, would get like a story arc. Like Signal Man from Car Ranger gets an occasional focus episode here and there, but he's not a main character. And it's the same thing. Like a lot of them are, you know, like mentor characters like Decamaster or Wolzard. Like they're supporting characters at the end of the day. Hyuga is not a supporting character. Like he has his
not
own
even
character
close.
arc.
Yeah.
And he's like part of the main team. So if you want to like say that like what makes it different from a Sixth Ranger to an Extra Ranger, to me, an Extra Ranger is just there to occasionally maybe have like have like maybe one or two supporting episodes here and there where they shine, usually the episodes where they become a ranger. And then after that, they just mainly just provide support here and there. A Sixth Ranger is someone who is a main character, gets focus episodes, has their story arc. And if we're going by my logic, which I don't know if the other guys would agree with me on this, but if we're going by my logic, Hyuga counts as a Sixth Ranger then.
I've always counted the Black Knight and the Magna Defender as Six Rangers. Same with Geki Chopper and the Rhino Ranger. I know, and Abare Killer and Dino Thunder White, even though they're fifths technically, but they still fill the role.
Yeah, but then Gokaiger has to go and count Abara Killer as a sixth ranger, but not Geki
But not
Chopper.
Geki
So-
Chopper, yeah. Go figure.
But I'll give Gokaiger a little bit of credit. At least every time when the Gokaigers did a full team change of the Gingaman, they had Guy,
Become
transform
Black
into
Knight,
Black
yeah.
Knight. So it's almost like they're kind of winking at the crowd, like, yeah, we know he's not on Guy's Morpher, but he's a sixth
But
ranger.
what button did he
You guys
press?
Well, I don't know. I always just assumed that those buttons were for show because if you remember the first episode where he joins the team, like Marvelous gives him King Ranger's Ranger Key, and Guy thinks he's transforming into Shinken Gold, but then he transforms into King Ranger. But then it's like, wouldn't he have pressed the Shinken Gold button and then transformed into like King Ranger by mistake? Like, you get what I mean?
Yeah. If we're going to count Hyuga as a sixth ranger, would I put him 2 behind Jeremy?
That's what I did.
I'm probably going to put him 2 behind Jeremy.
Yeah, because Jeremy is still the best sixth ranger I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But unlike when I said it during the King Ozer cast, it's not a far margin anymore to the next 6 because Hyoga's pretty far up there too.
Yeah.
At that time, I was kind of basing it off the 6 I had seen, and let's be real, Dragon Ranger,
No.
Gokai Silver,
No.
whoever
Shinken
the hell
Gold.
was considered Sixth Ranger and Geki Ranger. Haha, no,
Geki
not really.
I mean, Geki Chopper probably was the best character in that season, but he's still not anywhere near close.
Yeah, and Genta was at most probably an A tier to me.
Genta's probably 3.
Yeah, that's what I have as right now.
King Ranger's in the negatives somewhere.
Hey, he's
Mega-
keeping John company.
Mega Silver was like a B tier at best. Time Fire is
Yeah,
probably
agree with that.
number 4.
I mean, this is difficult for me because, like, I just looked at the top 5 that I posted on my personal blog, which I didn't count Hyuga at that point, but if I were to count, I really want to take somebody out of it, but I don't know who because I like all these characters. Like, maybe I would take out Deca Break because I definitely don't want to take out the Go on Wings, Abar Killer, Spider Kimonos, or both in silver. So, yeah, because the Go on Wings, I think. The Go on
Wings are really fun. I don't know if Riz has gotten that far into it yet, but the Go on Wings are such a fun duo.
No, I haven't got to the Sixth Ranger debut yet. I'm still kind of
but don't worry, Riz,
around into...
they're not the
What?
Boom Twins.
No, they're better.
I know. I've been given some info on them by people, and I understand what they are.
But yeah, I guess we've kind of just burned through, just talking about these characters in general, and we've all kind of agreed everybody is an S tier. I mean, I don't think Hikaru is an S tier, but I think he's mostly A tier. Like, the worst character is Hayate, who's between like C or B generally. But yeah.
I mean, honestly, if that's your worst character, then you did a good job with writing your characters.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And I mean, that's the Kobayashi curse. It's you can't get all 6 written well.
Yep.
Like,
but hey, that's better than most seasons where there's like 1 or 2 that are written.
What did we say? It was Mako and Senkinzer. We said it was
Sion
and Time Ranger.
And Hayate here.
Well, we all kind of agreed at the end that Yuri was kind of the weak link in Time Ranger.
Yeah, but Yuri was just a terribly written character. Sion's
like the character that was left in the dust. Yuri had a lot of spotlight time. It just wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want my opinion, Sion's better than Tatsuya and Yuri by far.
Maybe not Tatsuya, but Yuri.
No, sure. Tatsuya definitely.
Yeah, you just have a hate boner for Tatsuya. Tatsuya's a better character than
No, I have a hate boner for John. Get it right, damn it. I just generally did not like Tatsuya's character. Like, he did nothing for me.
I mean, he got better at the end, though. So
I mean, he got better at the end, but Sion's still better.
I
I don't think we're winning this one, Nate. Let's just move on.
yeah, that's fair. But I guess
Yeah,
to
no
kind of
point.
wrap this up, just to finish up our Gingaman cast, we should each, give our, give a brief description on our final thoughts of the series and give a final rating, where we would rank it in our tiers, and even in our
Okay.
top seasons.
All right. I'll start us off.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the best casts. It had a very solid story. There wasn't anything egregiously stupid or it didn't have time travel shenanigans like the Time Ranger plot had that kind of made it a bit iffy in places. Like I said, top 3 red easily, and to this day I still say it's the best opening arc in Sentai history. From the first episode until Gingayo's debut, it's the best start to a Sentai ever. And Shinkenger is still going to stand on top for me, but between this and King Oger, I've been jumping back and forth in my head. Because as much as good as King Oger is, as we've moved into Boom Boomger and stuff, there's a couple of things about King Oger that have started to annoy me, mostly from a production point of view. As in, I hate the green screen work that King Oger was littered with. So it's either 2 or 3 for me, and then Time Ranger would be 4, and then Kaku Ranger would be 5. But it's better than I remember, and I walked into this review saying it was a top 3 Sentai anyway. So
Yeah. Anthony, you want to go next?
I mean, I give my overall ranking of
Yeah,
the series
yeah,
altogether,
exactly.
or it's honestly S tier.
And where would you rank it among your top Sentais?
Honestly, because of my Shikinjo bias, I'm it's gonna rank number 2 alongside Shikin, and I think my third. Honestly, it's kind of difficult because I think I'm gonna put Cure Mage as my
Oh,
third.
okay. That makes me look forward to wanting to watch that Sentai pretty soon. Then,
Yeah.
Riz, would you mind if I go first, just so you can finish this up, since you were the only one who didn't see Gingaman yet?
Yeah, but make it quick.
Yeah. So for me, as someone who much like Patrick and Anthony, I had seen this Sentai already, and I already liked it, and I enjoy it even more. And honestly, it's as someone who has seen a lot of the older Sentais, I actually have a lot of appreciation for this one, because this feels like a really great throwback to a lot of older Sentais with, a high fantasy setting and the use of classical elements. Like, a lot of older Sentais tend to use a lot of high fantasy types of settings. I the fact that G Ranger is still kind of fresh in my mind since we reviewed that, I noticed that this Sentai almost kind of thought that G Ranger season sucked. We can do it a whole lot better, and they did it infinitely better. This season is almost kind of like G Ranger if it was actually a half decent season, and they just make it a whole lot better. This is a season that has gotten better. When I originally watched it, I got suckered in by the high fantasy and classical element type of stuff. Looking there, I still love those elements, but the characters and everything there, it just completely it's just on a whole new level, and that's why I'm calling this an S tier. And I might have to put this on my probably the only Sentai I would say that's definitively better than it is King Oger. It's probably kind of competing with Shinkenger for that second or third spot. Technically, I put Jetman as number 1 for selfish reasons, but yeah, it's still an amazing Sentai. This is another season that I definitely look forward to rewatching just by myself, especially once I've wrapped up watching all the Sentai. this was just a very fun experience to revisit this one again. And Riz?
Okay, so I entered this season kind of skeptical because you guys have been leading me astray quite a bit in your assessment of what you think I'm going to like and what I'm going to dislike. Except for Zero Ranger, I absolutely hate Zero Ranger. You're welcome, Patrick, for that little shout out. But I will say that this season was a pleasant surprise compared to the stuff we've been watching prior. So this is an obvious S tier for me, and my top ranking for the Sentai is gonna be. I'm only gonna give a top 4 because while I know what my top 5 will be, I don't think it's quite on the same level as the other 4. So my first one is gonna be Gokai for my very selfish reasons, followed by King Ozer, and then I had a really tough time. Like, I spent days after watching Gingaman. I'm glad I watched Gingaman very early because I couldn't decide between Senkinzer and Gingaman for the longest time where I thought the season fell. And after doing a lot of thinking about it, I kind of think Senkinzer takes spot 3 with Gingaman right behind it. But I still am not very confident in that ranking. That'll probably change the more I think about it because I'm still not 100% convinced I got it right. So those are my top 4.
Yeah.
And I just got to say, this season is what Zero Ranger was trying to do and failed epically to try to even get close to doing. And I have some really cool. I have a really cool idea I'm going to post on my Instagram later if you guys want to check it out. It's RizLord7 on Instagram. I'm going to be putting together a fantasy team of a Senkinzer Gingaman mashup just for fun.
Ooh.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That should be fun to sit through.
I have an idea what I'm going to do for the image. So I'll probably post it in like a day or two. And it's not. You're probably going to be all surprised by some of my choices I'm going to make in terms of like what Rangers I'm going to highlight in that photo.
I mean, you often do catch me off guard, so it'll be a fun read.
Oh, I'm not going to write too much. I'm going to do more like here's a class, here's like a mess up. And I'm going to say, if you want to hear my full thoughts on the seasons, go listen to the damn podcast. But yeah, no, I think this is a fantastic season. I'm glad we finally found a season that I can say, okay, this is meant to be really good. And I agree with y'all. Because, okay, I'm not going to say I didn't like Jetman, because I did like Jetman. Jetman, to me, was like a B-A tier. I don't really know. Time Ranger is still B-A tier for me as well. Yeah. Closer to A tier the more I think about it. Less B tier. But still, it's got some things in it that I just cannot get behind. I call it an S tier Sentai. Which is why I don't put it in that top 5, because I know it's still a great season in my fifth spot right now.
Yeah,
but it's not an S tier, and I want an S tier as my 5th season to close out that list. So I'm waiting for that to happen. But for right now, I got 4 Sentai that are really high up there in the S tier, and they need a 5th friend. So if you got recommendations to make my 5th, let me know. I will go check it out.
The only other thing I can say is that the more I think about it, like we've been talking about, eventually after we've reviewed all those other Sentais, that we would try to do a comparison between the one that Yasuko Kobayashi and that other writer that's considered the other possible GOAT. I can't remember his name, but he was the one who, he's done Gokaiger, Aba Ranger, Deca Ranger, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, the fact that, okay, most people would call Gokaiger an S tier Sentai, so that one guy has that one Sentai, but Yasuko Kobayashi right now has 2 S tier Sentais, one of them being her very first season. So the
Yeah.
more I'm thinking about it, yeah, I mean, until the King Oger head writer comes back and does another Sentai, she is, in my opinion, still the GOAT.
Yeah. Well, I gotta see Operator and the others to kind of get an idea of the flavor.
Yeah, but we'll get there at some
Uh,
point.
yeah, at some point. It'll take us another year and a half, probably.
Yeah, probably. But with that said, we're gonna wrap this up. We thank everybody for joining us on this. Kind of took us a little while to get through Gingaman, but it was definitely worth the ride. We've enjoyed, Patrick, Anthony, and I really enjoyed revisiting the Sentai that we love, and Riz, of course, enjoyed it because he's able to agree with us that this is that we have an S tier Sentai. So this was overall a very fun experience, and we hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as we have. We're not quite done with the Gingaman series yet because we're going to be taking a look at Lost Galaxy as like a little full season review. Unfortunately, we're not looking as forward to that. And no, we are not doing a versus special between Gingaman and Lost Galaxy. Well, actually, no. Actually, no. We'll do it right now. Gingaman wins. Okay.
Yeah.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was literally unmuting my mic to say, "Sorry, Nate. I'm going to do it for you right now. Gigaman wins. The end."
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like that meme going around online right now called what was it, atomic bomb, hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby. That's what this is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a little break from some of the more serious Sentai, and we are going to embrace the full-on, wacky, and overall dumb, and yet somehow still lovable Sentai.
Oh, Anta!
Yep.
Yeah.
We are all looking forward to that. But yeah, we hope you guys will join us for Go Onger and join us for the Lost Galaxy review. And that wraps this whole series on Gingaman up. We are closing our coverage on Gingaman. We have very much enjoyed this Sentai, and we hope you guys have enjoyed, this review series with us. And we'll see you guys next time when we take a look at Lost Galaxy before we venture into the engine world to visit our friends, the Go-Ongers. But until that time, bye for now. If you enjoyed listening to the Toku Secrets podcast, please check us out at animesecrets.org and follow us on all our social media pages such as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And also feel free to check out our other podcasts, including Anime Declassified and the Jedi Squadron. You can also leave us any feedback you'd like to offer us directly on our website. If you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, we thank you so much, and please leave us a rating out of 5 stars. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed, and leave any comments down below, as we love to take the time to read comments left on our channel and give our fans, shout-outs. If you have any seasons of Super Sentai, Power Rangers, or other Tokusatsu shows that you'd like for us to check out, please don't hesitate to say so in your feedback. With all that said, we thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our podcast, and we will see you next time as we continue our never-ending journey through the world of Tokusatsu. But until that time, you all stay safe, we love you, and may the power protect you.